Hi, this is my 8th devlog, and a while ago I started building this gear and belt system which would model the links of a chain as they made their way around a series of gears. I thought this would work well with the game's gravity shifting since I could make the top of each link a permanent gravity floor so the player can rotate with the chain. I also thought building this would be easy. The code for all this is less than 400 lines, but it took several revisions. On the first draft I mostly got it working, but it had this little jump every loop. There were also some other little problems, and even after working on it for a few days, I couldn't really internalize what exactly was going wrong, so I gave up for a few months. Eventually, I came back to this and added what should have been my first feature, a visualization of the chain's path. I also simplified the math to a point where I'm actually capable of explaining the thing I built. I did try to keep the original script readable, but I never went back to really comment and streamline it because it didn't work. While commenting broken code seems like a waste of time, I've started to do it because leaving code so indecipherable that I avoid working on it for months is a significantly bigger problem than writing comments I might delete. I eventually got all those problems sorted out and noticed this. I modeled everything as straight lines and smooth semicircles. I then used this model to calculate the total length of the chain, which I used to spawn the right number of links and resize some of the gears to make sure the chain is exactly the right length to have no gaps and no clipping. The problem is, this ends up giving me the length of a rope following this path. Here, a rope going between these 2 points and around this gear would have a length of 5.57. How long is that using chain links? If we use a link length of 4.2, it's 4.2. If we use a length of 2, it's 5.27, until we move the chain, so now it's 5.36. You can see how this might be a problem when the chain is always moving. In this case, the system still works when the chain segments are small relative to the gear size. This doesn't work from a game design perspective though, since I generally want the individual links to be large enough to host significant parts of a circuit and occasionally an entire puzzle. The small segment chains are still useful, but I spent time on this because I wanted it to be a core part of the level design, so I need those large chain links working. One solution is to add spaces between the links so nothing clips. I could then either add size-changing spacers in each gap, or draw a rope going around the gears connecting all the chain links so they aren't floating. Another option is to add a gear that moves on a spring, or add a sag in the chain to take up the slack. A gear that's constantly moving will certainly cause some problems for level design, and chain sag would make the player orientation inconsistent over the run where the sag is added. And both would oscillate a full cycle every time the chain link moves one link length, which, on a fast-moving chain, could be downright nauseating. And all of this adds physical complexity to a system that doesn't need it. If this game was about mechanical engineering, I would take this option, but since it's about electronics, it's unnecessary complexity, both for myself and the player. So this is what I ended up with. Chain links evenly spaced along the perimeter with piston-like platforms connecting each of them, able to change length to compensate for the shifting spacing. Now that that works, all my other game systems are already compatible with the system, so I can add circuits on the links and walk between them with gravity shifting as I go. Also, since the chain path is created on the fly, I can let the player build their own chain system by placing gears. I don't have any place in the level design where this would fit, but it's an interesting possibility. Next month should be music and art, so that video will probably be the least technical one I've made, and hopefully very easy for me. So, see you then.